I'd like to ask you, Othman, why do you feel that they are resorting to doing airstrikes in Gaza, as opposed to, I know they're doing ground operations now, but why do you feel that they didn't just do that in the first place?
Well, the fact of the matter is, we know how the so-called Israelis operate in their numbers. They're very fearful of a child throwing a stone. You know, we've seen the track record of arresting 10-year-olds to 12-year-olds and keeping these children in barbaric states. So we know what they're like. It's clear from Netanyahu especially, he's made it absolutely clear that his aim is to absolutely flatten Gaza. And it's not just him, but the rest of the ministers as well. If people don't understand and realize the reality of Gaza, then Gaza is a prison, more than a prison. It's a concentration camp, right? And the walls that are so high and so thick is to stop people from going in and out, stop aid from coming in and out, to stop help from coming in and out. So Netanyahu's point of this was all along to absolutely flatten it, to drive the Gazans out, push them out into the Egyptian Sinai so they can occupy it and take it over. Simple as that.
Do you feel that if it was reversed and it wasn't Hamas hiding in Gaza, but they were actually hiding in Israel, do you feel that the IDF would bomb Israel to try and flush Hamas out and to eradicate Hamas, or do you feel that they would take an alternative approach?
It's clear. Look, this is pure ethnic cleansing. You know, it was really from the beginning that they wanted to get rid of all the Gazans, the Palestinians out of Gaza in the first place. So your question is quite simple. Absolutely not. They wouldn't have done the bombings, indiscriminate bombings that have been doing in Gaza, maybe in Tel Aviv, if that was the case. We know from the information that's coming out yesterday, especially the IDF, they've killed their own people, in the so-called fight against Hamas. And the reality is that they made it clear they don't care about Palestinian blood. They see them as animals. They see them as, lowlifes. Their rabbis, their ministers have made it very clear. So the whole point of this is purely, absolutely, to eradicate the Palestinians and the people from Gaza. And to answer your question, absolutely not. They wouldn't have done that in Israel, so-called Israel.
There may be many people that are watching this and, maybe watching other interviews with Muslims who are defending, not just because they may have the misconception that we're just here because the Palestinians are majority Muslim, so we're just standing up for them for that reason. If it was the case that Palestine was occupied entirely by Christians, would you still be attending this march today? Absolutely.
It's not just about the issue of Palestine itself. I'm not an Arab, okay, but my connection is I'm a Muslim, yes. And, like I said to you before, it's my obligation to be there. But that's with any kind of dhulm, any kind of oppression around the world. We've seen and we heard what happened in Ukraine. And we saw the way that people flocked to help Ukraine. Many Muslims also helped Ukraine as well. The fact is that if it was a Christian, whoever it is, right? It's oppression is oppression, doesn't matter who. We know many Muslim leaders who oppress Muslims as well around the world, okay? That doesn't mean that we keep quiet. We have to stand up. And history will bear witness to what is happening right now. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to be, 100,000, 500,000 people. If that is not enough sign for showing everyone that you need to stop what you're doing and putting pressure on the government, then Allah knows what would be a sign.
What do you feel is the solution to what is going on at the moment?
I'm so glad you asked me that question. A lot of people talk about two-state solution. A lot of people are talking about just getting rid of Hamas and then that's the end of it. Reality is there is only one solution, and that is a one-state solution. And that's what it was prior to 1948 and the area known as Palestine, the whole of Palestine. This bogus thing about the borders of 1967, that doesn't mean nothing to anyone, right? Because remember, the Jews that came there, I'm talking about the ones that came in 1948, not the previous ones that have been living there. The ones that came after 1948, these ones are all from where? Europe. They're not indigenous to Palestine. So the solution is, if you want peace, the whole of Palestine must be returned to the Palestinians, and it must be governed by them. Jews, Christians and Muslims can live together as they did in peace prior to 1948.
Do you feel that it is? Well, I don't believe you do, but I'll ask this question anyway because people may be asking this or accusing people of this. To be protesting against what is going on, where the Israeli Defense Forces are massacring thousands of people. Do you feel that makes you anti-Semitic to do so?
You know, this term anti-Semitic has become a joke now. We know the reality, we know the truth, we know what's happened during the Holocaust. I live in an area which has a large population of Jews. I drive through the area all the time, I walk through there. In order to get to the masjid, you have to walk past the synagogue. So it's not as if we all hate Jews. Now, it's the narrative that Israel is trying to push, that if you're anti-Israel, you're anti-Semitic. If that's the case, then why are Jews coming to these demonstrations? I don't get it. You know, if that is the point. The point is, if I speak up against Russia, no one's going to say nothing, right? Even if I put death threats to Vladimir Putin, no one's going to say anything. But as soon as I mention Israel is a Nazi state or a terrorist state, then that's it, I become anti-Semitic. It's a joke. It's a farce that is being used by, unfortunately, MPs, that are being used by the establishment to drum up this whole idea of anti-Semitism, which is true, it does happen, okay? But the fact is that how many of those cases that you see in London, for example, have been Muslim attacking Jews because they're Jews, right? It's most probably Muslims that have gone to a pro-Palestinian demonstration, come across the Zionists, okay, and then it ends up being a fight. Like today, the EDO or the far-right racists went to the cenotaph. Who did they fight? The police, not the pro-Palestinian supporters, okay? So this shows the reality. We have to, not just as Muslims, but as people living in Britain, ensure that we change the narrative of what is the understanding of anti-Semitism and what is Israel.
Othman, I thank you so much for your time. It was such short note. I literally just approached you like minutes ago, maybe 15 minutes back, and you were willing to enjoy me for an interview. I hope this day, what remains of it, is productive and your voice is heard, and that ceasefire, which we shouldn't be having to call for, is actually something which it becomes a reality. And I ask Allah, I ask God to rectify not just the situation in Gaza, but ourselves as well, because we ourselves, we are not perfect. We need to change ourselves as well. For the help of Allah, it comes when the people are obedient to Him and close to Allah.
Absolutely.
And not close to their desires and close to that which displeases Allah. So I thank you so much. God bless you. And this is Kyron Caribi from All Views News. See you in the next one.